I would request all the alumni who have connected with us through YouTube to comment their questions, if any, in the YouTube live chat box, which we'll pick it up in the end. Good evening to one and all present. I am Aarti from the Guest Lectures Committee, and I'm honored to be your host for this event, along with Ria, my co-host. We, the Guest Lectures Committee, bring to you the second conversation of the current academic year under Careers and Conversations, an elite and exclusive platform to rendezvous with eminent speakers from different walks of their life, reminiscing about their personal as well as professional voyages. This platform aims to provide ample learning opportunities through real-life stories to faculty, students, as well as the alumni alike. Today, we ponder on the topic of finance, films and food, a recipe for success with Mrs. Lakshmi Iyer. I would now request my co-host Ria to talk more about her.
Thank you, Aarti. So today on the second conversation of this academic year, it is our honor to host and converse with Mrs. Lakshmi Iyer, the CEO, Investment and Strategy of Kotak Alternate Asset Managers for a captivating conversation on finance, films and food, a recipe for success. Lakshmi Iyer's exceptional leadership has been instrumental in transforming Kotak Alternate Asset Managers into a leading financial services player. Her deep understanding of financial markets and her ability to navigate through challenges make her an ideal mentor for aspiring professionals. With over 2 decades of experience in financial sector, she has been recognized as top 25 most influential women in asset management in Asia by Asian Mentor. She has also been featured in Forbes India Self-Made W Power in 2024. She holds an MBA in Finance from Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies. We are truly honored to have Lakshmi ma'am share her invaluable insights with our community. Her contribution to the Indian financial landscapes are truly commendable. But before we proceed, I would like to invite our director, Dr. Raman Ramachandran, to felicitate our guests briefly and address the audience. This shawl is from Somaya Kala Vidya and it is hand woven by artisans from Kutch.
I don't want to take time away from Lakshmi and all of you because I see that perhaps the most interesting title that we have had since we started Careers and Conversations, we are combining. I'm very curious what the connection is between finance, films and food is. It is intuitive, but I would like to hear more. Lakshmi is also a person with a difference. I'm kind of used to seeing more gray hair and people in suit, and here is a young lady, in a slightly different casual clothing, which also should give you some hope that it's not necessarily, these things that go to underline or underscore, who succeeds. Yeah. I just want to emphasize again the importance of these Careers and Conversations. I keep doing this every time, knowing that some of you probably didn't attend this before. This is an opportunity for you to really hear from those who have really made it, and also to recognize that it is not just what you study here, what you do in the MBA course that really leads to the transformation and to success in the real life. It is more than that, and that's what this whole program is designed for, that we have people who have really kind of proved themselves, have a stellar career like Lakshmi, come and talk to you about what are the decisions, what are the kind of critical things that they did that made them to reach where they are. So with that, I want to really thank Lakshmi for being here. You can imagine that with a title like that and with a responsibility like that, it's not easy to find time in your timetable. So just sharing with us that, she actually had a conflict in a calendar. She was supposed to be in a panel with mutual fund people in Taj Lands End, and I'm happy that you have chosen the more humble campus of ours to Taj Lands End to be here with our students. I'm sure they will be very, very grateful for what you have done. With that, Arun, I'm going to hand over to you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. This conversation will be led by Arun Tukral, sir, our guest lectures committee faculty head, who is a professor in finance and lead corporate relations at KJ Somaiya Institute of Management.
Thank you, Riya. Welcome, Lakshmi, once again. And so dear student, she is not only a biggest mind in finance, but she is a very interesting person to talk to. That's what I can say, and I think you will know for sure. So starting with, I think the first question is same, that how you started your journey. So before you answer that, so yesterday I was listening to this Geeta Gopinath. So she said, I am a product of circumstances I lived in.
Yeah.
And I never woke up at age 10 and decided to be an economist.
Of course.
So what is your story?
Am I audible to everyone or no? Audible, right? Perfect. I'm not used to these mics. I typically think that I'm so loud enough that in the room I use no mic, and then to save my vocal cords, the organizers end up giving me a hand mic. So this is definitely much better. So as you are, recalling one story saying that, she didn't wake up at age 10. I didn't even wake up at age 21. Forget at age 10, okay? So for me, it was a very, very luck by chance kind of a journey, how I got into the world of finance. So one thing was clear that I like playing around with numbers. That's the only thing I knew. Now I didn't know I would become a magician trying to guess numbers. I would become a mentalist, or I would be a mathematician. I did not have a clue. But it so happened that in my break, this friend of mine calls me up and she says that, I have those days I'm talking about 97, 98, the early 2000 types, where interviews and all that used to be published in newspapers. These days it's on LinkedIn and anywhere and everywhere on WhatsApp. So she calls me saying, what, I was supposed to go for this interview, but I'm not able to go because I'm going to go to Goa. So why don't you just go in my place? And I was doing nothing. I said, okay. And then she said, no, then I'm not going. So, have you seen the movie Chennai Express, where Shah Rukh keeps saying Goa is on, Goa is not on? So my actual life journey started with she telling me Goa is on and Goa is not on. So when Goa actually got on for her, that's when my career got on for me, like literally, because that's when I went for the interview, and this was with a firm called Credence Analytics. And they asked me, what have you come here for? And in all honesty and candid behavior, I said, I was not supposed to be here in first place. My friend asked me to come, and that's why I'm here. And I don't even know what you guys are up to, but I don't mind doing something because I have free time. And I think that was the disastrous interview I would have ever had, because, and then of course then we got talking, and then they realized that this girl seriously has some curiosity cat in her. And that's it. After that I went home and I said that, okay, I did the interview, but I think I had no clue what they want to do. But I told them I like numbers and finance, and yeah, given a choice, I'd like to do something, but I don't know what. And next day the HR calls me saying that we would like to make you an offer. Measly amount, I don't even remember what it was, but I said, wow, this is so cool. First interview, usually hota na, apply, no reply, whether ladki ho ya naukri. In this case, it was not the case for me. So it just worked well, and that's how I started off in Credence as a research analyst. I worked there for about 2 years, and then I went on to do my MBA. And after that is when Kotak happened. So yeah, that's been a journey. One thing I remember when I was leaving Credence for Kotak, I was the 7th employee of Credence, and I was the 34th employee of Kotak. So when I was transitioning from Credence to Kotak, I told Credence guys, I'm going on a 6-month sabbatical. because they told me you are the life and blood of Credence, because we were all of like 20-25 employees, and they said you're the life and blood of Credence. I said blood is meant to circulate freely, let me go, I'll come back after 6 months. And now it's been what, 25 years? Blood is circulating, and so I've not circulated. So that's what my story is.
Right. Yeah, so this is the good part.
Yeah.
And the challenges and some story, something like at some point you would have said, "Humse na ho payega," ya "Tumse na ho payega." So let me also try some filmy thing today with you.
Yeah,
so
of
then what
course.
you did?
No, humse na ho payega. You know what used to happen whenever I used to make a pitch or a presentation or any of these interactions, I used to be the only woman, whether it's in the dealing room or in the boardroom. And every time there is this question of self-belief, am I doing the right thing? I mean, this is not like summiting Mars or, trying to circumnavigate swimming, I don't know, so I can't circumnavigate any Indian Ocean or any other ocean. But I was thinking that this itself is such a big financial ocean. Why aren't there any women? I mean, this I'm talking about 20 years back. I used to keep asking this question. And every time self-belief was put to test. Am I doing the right thing? And then Dil picture, have you seen the movie Dil? Amir Khan, Madhuri, very old movie. I'm not sure how many of you all would have seen it. But usme ek dialogue tha, Arun, I don't know if you remember. Patti to patti, varna rakhi ready. So I said, hum to sahi mark pe, I don't care. We will give it, I'll give it. I had age on my side, right? I was all of 21, 22. I said, I'll give my best shot. Patti to patti varna rakhi ready. Just because there is no woman in the boardroom or there is no woman in the dealing room doesn't mean that I cannot set a precedent. So I was the 34th woman, 34th employee of Kotak, but the first person in the financial or in the dealing room, as we call it, the investment team. And 5 years, 10 years into that role, also, obviously there were 70th and 100th and 150th employee, but still I was the only woman in the dealing room. So I think those were the times when that question it was more a rhetoric, but I was so much in love with what I did. And I thought I'm heading in the right direction, and I always used to think, if I can do it, why can't the others? Because fund management or the investment management journey is not rocket science, because I ain't a scientist. So yeah, that's how I kept going on.
Great. I think I can relate to that 34th employee, because I was the first employee for Axis.
Wow. Awesome.
That was it was UTI Bank at that time, so I still remember that, and wherever possible I brag about this like I did just now.
Of course.
So any mentors or advisor while you were, because you said, and two questions actually, one about this women thing you have spoken 2-3 times. So do you think that because you knew numbers, so you were successful? Because normally people say that women don't like numbers.
Yeah, of course.
But in your case, you love numbers. So whether you want to say that it is gender agnostic, that if you know your skill, whether you are any gender, whatever you are. So this is the first question. Let me get the answer for this.
Sure, but my view, Arun, is that any profession is gender agnostic, whether it is in academia, whether it's in industry, whether it's in media, whether it's in finance, it just doesn't matter. Just try this random experiment. Try Googling the top 5 chefs in the country. You would think that women are meant to, cook, but you will see even in the third one, there is no woman. It's only men. And then if you Google top sports person in the country, the second one that you see is a woman. So, akhade mein ladkiyan ho sakti hai, so of course kitchen mein mard bhi ho sakte hai. It's very simple. So, I think it's a mindset that we need to change. It is all about the mindset. And I always keep telling people, have you seen Vidya Balan's movie, Tumhari Sulu? Have you all seen the movie?
Yeah.
So, Vidya Balan in that movie is a female protagonist who takes a train from western suburbs in Virar to southern suburbs in Churchgate because she wants to become RJ, radio jockey. And she is shown as this middle class Maharashtrian housewife. And her tagline is something which sticks along with me, and she says this, "Main kar sakti hai." This is what she says, "I can do it." Nike says just do it, she says I can do it. So I think that is where the fundamental difference is. So if you have a passion, if you have an innate desire, then you just have to be like Vidya Balan in as the radio jockey in Tumhari Sulu, or you have to be like Gunjan Saxena, the Kargil girl.
Correct.
Where even her thought process was, जब plane को फर्क नहीं पड़ता उसको कौन चला रहा है तो तुम्हें क्यों फर्क पड़ता है? So I think this male female bastion to my mind is just in the mind. When you go and do your job, it's about how well you are able to deliver in that role and what is the end product. My role is to make a difference in my investor's life so that I generate enough returns, not completely forgetting risk, and risk adjusted return is what my preamble is for delivery, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
But you get two type of investor. One investor is who would say risk hai to isk hai, and the other would say no, I don't want to take risk, I don't have attitude, and he will not sleep. So how you handle, because you go to different countries, you do road shows and you meet all these big investors. So how you handle that?
So first thing I say, risk hai to ishq hai, because even I've seen the movie Scam, but I always say that ishq kitni baar karoge risk ke saath. That's also very important, right? So you need to keep that in mind, that excessive pyar can also lead to claustrophobic feeling, and investments mein bhi wahi hota hai. And therefore when you put an overlay of risk on it and then manage that return, then it becomes return on capital, and then the return of capital doesn't become a question mark. And globally, I have seen, when I do my roadshows, when I meet institutional investors, most of our most of our investors in our fund are foreign LPs. LPs means investors in our fund, and this is the conversation. The color of the skin might vary, but the mentality doesn't change. They all want to see two things: returns on their portfolio. In fact, the very interesting thing, as a digression, and they think it's only men who manage money, because once I entered a room and they said, hello, we are waiting for Lakshmi. I said, I'm only Lakshmi. So they say, oh, you're Lakshmi. I said, yeah, why is it surprising? He's saying, sorry, we were thinking Lakshmi is a male. I said, why? Because they knew only Lakshmi Mittal, because I was in London, by the way, and they knew only Lakshmi Mittal. And Lakshmi Mittal, obviously, they relate to a guy. So I think, and so is it in Japan. When you go to Japan, it is so male dominated. Two things very difficult to find: a young male and a woman in the room. Very difficult. It's a baby boomer population.
Correct.
You know, so I'm saying, so yeah, so I think, so therefore, the more and more I visited people, more and more I met, and that conviction only grew कि ये तो मैं पटा लूंगी, राखी बांधने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, and that's how I've still survived.
Yeah. In India, it's easier, ना? You can say that नाम ही लक्ष्मी है.
हाँ, वो तो मैं कहती हूँ.
Finance तो तू, मतलब I know that.
Yeah. But so to them I say, my name is Lakshmi. Lakshmi means money, and if I don't go to people, people come to me.
Correct. That's what I said. Good. So I was asking about your mentors or advisor. Anybody you can recall कि ये बंदे ने help किया?
यार दो कैटेगरी के लोग हैं. एक तो most important person who has had a massive influence in my life is my mother. Okay, and I will tell you her background. She's a homemaker. She comes in from a village in Kerala. I'm from Kerala, and middle class, humble background. And the only thing she taught me, which subsequently she told me in Tamil, of course, and that dialogue was cocked by Mission Mangal. If you have you seen Mission Mangal?
Yeah.
Okay, so in that Akshay का एक dialogue होता ना, ख्वाब वो नहीं है जो तुम सोते हुए देखते हो, ख्वाब वो है जो तुम्हें सोने नहीं देते. Okay, so my mom used to tell me the same thing, you know, saying that see, I could not do anything, I have sacrificed my life, all that typical Tambram mentality, crying that she did to me, and I have an elder sister. So she claims that she kind of sacrificed her so-called life for the two of us, which I told her, don't be the sacrificial lamb, but she did it for us. But so that always stayed with me, that you have to envision something and then you have to walk towards it and not just sleeping and dreaming. So that was one very important lesson I learned from her. And second thing is, again, which is very Bollywoodish, and that's why I try to quote a lot of examples कि किसी चीज को तुम शिद्दत से चाहोगे तो पूरी कायनात जुड़ जाती है. So even your who's that tennis player जिसने Djokovic. Okay, so Djokovic always believed that if he wanted a trophy very badly, like a US Open or whatever, he used to actually make a clay mold of it, and he used to keep visualizing it. So if you manifest it, it will happen. So these are all very simple hacks which my mom used to tell me, and those lived with me. And because those lived with me, and therefore anything that looked intimidating, okay, first मम्मी का याद रखने का और फिर विद्या बालन का याद रखती थी कि मैं कर सकती है, and then it used to become relatively effortless. Okay, I'm making it easy, okay, but you have to work towards it. There's no two ways about it. Yeah. So I think that's how you really break some of these barriers and then keep marching on, because whoever has seen a rose without a thorns, isn't it? Even if you're gifting it on Valentine's Day, you have to tell the gardener to cut it that extra hard so that you don't get a thorn. Very important, right?
Yeah, great. So let us talk about the work you do. So everybody knows equity, debt,
Yeah.
real estate.
Yeah.
These are simple things.
Right.
Now you tell me about alternate investment
Yeah.
and for benefit of everyone. So you do strategic situation fund, investing in some
Yeah.
data centers
Yeah.
and a lot of other things. So
Right.
maybe little bit on that.
Yeah.
And who are the customers and whom do you sell? A little bit on that.
Yeah, so there are two types of pani puri. Now I'll bring food here. One
Yeah.
is regular, plain Jane, simple, tikha meetha pani, and there is a vodka infused pani puri.
Correct.
जो आपको प्रीतम दा ढाबा में भी मिलता है,
हाँ।
प्रताप दा ढाबे में मिलता है, for
बिल्कुल,
example.
बिल्कुल, सब।
So alternates are very similar to the vodka infused pani puri. So it is for the slightly evolved customer, slightly evolved investor who has understood what pani puri and ingredients are, and they want slightly more bespoke, and they're willing to take the risk. Somebody can say plain pani puri खाएंगे यार, वो vodka infused होगा तो maybe I get intoxicated. So therefore very similar in that analogy is that these are slightly high risk kind of investments. The underlying could be physical or hard assets, not just financial assets. So when we talk about data centers, we actually invest in some of these proper infrastructure which are housing data centers which are doing a lot of research and development activities. When we're talking about real estate, it could be real estate in equity, it could be real estate in fixed income, it could be real estate as a physical property also. When we're talking about infrastructure, it could be a power project, it could be a power plant that we like. So I think that is what the world of alternates is all about, and just doesn't stick to plain vanilla beans. So I think that is in a nutshell. The basic principles or the tenets of evaluation don't really change. Where you look at solvency, the robustness, how credible, in how much time is going to be the payback period that I invest X. What is the kind of returns I will generate over the next 3, 4, 5 years? The only one thing is, in case of listed equity or in case of debt, I know that I can invest even for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. These investments are typically for 4 years plus kind of a scenario, because they are, as I alluded to, they're all investments in real assets. So therefore the payback period takes a little bit longer, but the returns are also equally exciting. So can some of these returns go, IRRs north of 25, 26, 27%? The answer is yes. Anything which is 20 plus, that is the ambit which these categories operate in. Strategic situations actually means it could be solving for a need. You can give money to a good quality AAA corporate vis-a-vis somebody who doesn't even know what his or her rating is, but has a business, is in need of money, but not in the best situation right now. But fundamentally, as we say in cricket parlance or in sports parlance, form is temporary, class is permanent.
Correct.
So you identify the class of the business which is a good class of business. Form is temporary, thoda temporary distortion raha hai, and then you solve for that, and that is what we call as solution capital. So we provide money, we write big ticket checks because we have big fund sizes. So for example, the largest fund that we manage is close to about $3 billion or 25,000 crores, single largest fund. So in that, can we cut ticket sizes of 2,000, 2,500 crores? The answer is yes. So imagine when you're giving that kind of money to a business which is temporarily not doing well, you are able to eke your pound of flesh, right? It's a quid pro quo. You are giving in return for a higher yield, and because you have given the money, the business actually turns around and obviously tends to pay back your capital. So that's in a nutshell, very simple, very, very simple of the work that I do.
Thank you for sharing this. And so you go out and meet clients, so you would have your client engagement strategy.
Yeah.
So one thing we always, when we talk to student, we have to convince them to sell.
Sure.
Because everybody likes product, marketing, operation, finance. So their dialogue is थप्पड़ से डर नहीं लगता, finance से डर नहीं लगता, sales से डर लगता है.
अच्छा.
So what is your advice to that?
Okay, my advice is, as long as गंजे को कंघी नहीं बेचोगे, it is absolutely fine. And ultimately, you tell me something. If you are the chef, okay, of your kitchen, if you do not go and serve it to your patrons, who is going to do it? It's very simple. So when I was in Kotak AMC as the CIO, or whether I'm in Kotak Alternates as strategy CEO, it doesn't matter. The nature of the role, whether you're the peon or the promoter, selling is an integral part of financial world. There is no two ways about it. You call it selling, you call it chasing, you call it persuasion, you call it presenting, pitch. English doesn't matter. Whether it's Shakespeare or Newton, it doesn't matter. But integrally, as long as you are with conviction going and talking to the world. In the developed world, we call it roadshows, but it's nothing but selling. You have to go and present your pitch because it's your conviction. And only remember, the joy of managing money is not just the role that you do, but also the size that you manage. Because with size, when I joined Kotak AMC, the first fund we launched, we collected 99 CR, not even 100 CR. 90 crore ka fund tha. When I moved out of Kotak AMC to Kotak Alternates, the size that I left was I was managing close to about 1,50,000 crores, which is about $15 billion. And today here I'm managing close to about $24-25 billion. So what I'm trying to say is size begets size. So the guy or the girl who serves the patron, serves the person at the table, if you ask her 3 questions, 4th question she will say, I'll call the chef, and you are the chef. तो प्यार से डर लगेगा ठीक है, थप्पड़ से डर लगेगा ठीक है, सेल से डर बिल्कुल नहीं लगना चाहिए. That's my message to all of you.
That is what I wanted you to.
Perfect.
Because okay, so technology. So without technology, nothing is happening, and now AI, Gen AI, and all that.
Yeah.
So how big is technology for you, and what is your understanding? Like how you take it, how important it is for you?
No, it is like oxygen that you require even when you're sitting in this room, or whether you're sitting in the flight, or whether you're sitting in your comfort of your bedroom or your drawing room. It's that very important. I have said this very often, but I don't know how many of you all would have registered it, but I always quote this example in one of our boardroom discussions. Our erstwhile chairman, Mr. Uday Kotak, at that point in time commented, saying that technology is like God. If you believe in God, okay, and all of you all need to listen to this. If you believe in God and there is God, तो कोई problem नहीं है. You believed it and He's there or she's there. If you don't believe in God, but there is God, तो तुम्हारी band बज गई. Technology is exactly like that. So technology has to be seen as your companion. It cannot be seen as a competitor. I think that's the most important. The biggest fallacy people think is that technology is going to replace you and me. No, that's not true at all. It may happen, maybe after I retire, maybe you all are still in working, so I will have the last laugh. But the point is, it's very important for you all to understand that technology is an inevitable part of your lives. So the sooner you delve into it, the sooner you ape it, and the sooner you get out of denial mode, the better it is. I met a promoter about 5 or 6 years back, and he was in the retail segment. And I asked him, Hindi mein hamari baat ho rahi thi, I asked him that what is happening to the e-com sales? You are only brick and mortar. So he said, Lakshmi, ये सब कुछ नहीं है, ये सब माया है. अब he himself has become Maya. And there is somebody else who is doing Rekha's job. So the point I am trying to say is that denial mode, never say never. चिकना गड़ा नहीं होना चाहिए, which is called shame proof. चिकने गड़े पे कुछ पानी का असर नहीं पड़ता है, water proof पे पानी का असर नहीं पड़ता है. You should never be never proof. So always tell yourself that today I am not going to exist. That is your biggest paranoia, which will constantly lead you to think something different the next day. The moment you are complacent, trust me, you're dead. And I think that's what technology is shaping and becoming an integral part of our lives, and we cannot. तो रुमाल डालना काफी जरूरी है, and not virtual रुमाल, mind you, real रुमाल, very important.
Yeah, correct. Good. And what about the culture of innovation, collaboration? So what is your leadership style? So you handle a team, and being a lady helps or doesn't?
So I don't know what you call leadership style, but for me it's all about involvement of people, involvement of the team that works with me, give them a sense of entitlement and participation both, and therefore it's very collaborative in nature. See, because I will tell you, human talent is a very, very important talent that we have to nurture. And nurturing is like पेड़ पौधे को पानी लगाना. Imagine आपने 4 दिन पानी नहीं लगाया तो वो मुरझा जाएगा. So constant nurturing, being in touch with your team, engaging with them, making them feel wanted, and always leading from the front or leading from behind. People ask, I will say front or back क्या होता है? साथ में बैठ के चलाओ यार, कौन सा फर्क पड़ता है? So for me, it's never being in the front or being behind, धक्का मारो या आगे चलो, take the front foot forward. I say debit भी तेरा, credit भी तेरा. Because that's very important. I cannot say that credit is mine and debit is yours. It becomes very lopsided, right? And you're all finance students, you understand balance sheet has to tally. Suspense account ho gaya, so life becomes a suspense, so we can't afford that. So I think that's how I believe in conducting the team.
Okay. And so how this started, love for this, you have written in your LinkedIn, finance, films and food. So how they started? It's natural or it came over a period of time, or you love that, and now how you relate every line you have some dialogue?
वो तो सोच, I don't script it honestly, it's very extempore. So you know, I did this meeting about a year back. I was doing one of the institutional meetings, and that guy comes, and you know, I had just done a session prior to that, and I had given पता नहीं कितना dialogues दिया था, मुझे भी याद नहीं है. And then he comes and tells me, you know what? Your competitor comes and says that you have a ghostwriter. Mane, you know, I tweet, I put on LinkedIn and stuff like that. Kuch na kuch I put here. I mean, I don't really plan this is what I'm going to put, but some Bollywood, some limerick. And I said, of course, show me the ghostwriter, because I think if he or she is ghost, it remains to be ghost, because I do everything. It's completely, in your parlance, completely OG, extremely original. And if Rocky or Rani ke language में बोलोगे तो ताड़ लो जितना ताड़ना है, बिल्कुल original है, no steroids. So that is how I basically. But I will tell you the genesis of this, okay? And this dates back to 2005, 2006, which was my 5th or 6th year into work. And by that time, I had become this very confident young girl who could, you know, meet people and convince them to put money. Why in the guild fund? Why in the bond fund? Why not to look at equity from this perspective? Or why all that I used to. मुझे लगा मेरी PhD हो गई. And then I sat and addressed a small, you know, close group. We sat for about 1 hour, and I thought I did a damn good job. Okay, and I patted myself on my back, you know, telling them, "Arey, to done deal hai." And then I go back and then I ask my sales guys, kya hua? They said they didn't understand anything of what you said. I said, are you serious? I said, we had a 60-minute conversation. And he said, but ma'am, do you realize that in that 60-minute conversation, you spoke for 55 minutes, they spoke only for 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes was hi, hello, chai piyoge, nashta khaoge, that's about it. And yeah, I said, yeah, but I said they didn't have any questions. And then it got me to realize that you can be only in 2 scenarios where you don't have questions. Either you understood everything or you understood nothing. And I, in my so-called Have Mein Chadao thing, I realized that, oh my God, they understood everything super 10 on 10 to me. Mera to appraisal bonus sab ho gaya. It was a big thing. And I'm done. And then only my sales guy shows me the reality check and he tells me that, dude, they didn't understand dog shit of what you said. Nothing, absolutely nothing. That day was an eye-opener, and subsequently Vidya Balan in her movie Dirty Picture says, what sells in movie is entertainment, entertainment, entertainment. Have you all seen the movie Dirty Picture? And then I realized what should not be there in any pitch meeting is jargons, jargons, jargons.
Correct.
And that's when I realized that we need to make it simple, absolutely simple. Food and films were not on my mind, but when I spoke, and I used to take some small examples, you know, some chutkula, some kind of a anecdote. I would relate it to Amitabh Bachchan, ऐसे randomly stuff like that. Oh my God, the understanding was not 10 on 10, mind you, it was 11 on 10. So I realized that India में Bollywood चलता है. When you go outside of India, but if it's an Indian managing the money, तो भी Bollywood चलता है.
Correct.
And then if you go to Japan, you have to use Doraemon examples. You don't have a choice. But that's also entertainment, by the way. Okay, and that's how you realize that when you are able to, and food is a global bonding topic. Food is not an India topic. Whether I go to Patna and talk about Litti Chokha, or I go to Pantnagar and talk about Kumoni cuisine, people love listening to it. And if you go to Paris and if you talk about the French crepes and the baguettes, they are in love with you. So when you realize that food is a natural bonding topic, how can you not blend it with finance? So I said, मोह के धागे हम जोड़ देंगे, सुई धागा आता है कि नहीं हम करेंगे, virtually we will see also, and that's how I try.
मोह नहीं होना चाहिए. I was also trying.
You're bang on, see, he's getting baptized. संगत का असर तो पड़ ही रहा है for sure.
But ultimately you are successful. So जो जीता वही सिकंदर.
जो जीता वही सिकंदर. जो हारा वो बंदर नहीं, उसको चांस मिलेगा बनने का सिकंदर. That is very important.
एक बार और. गुड ओके. तो अभी यूएस इलेक्शन, इंडिया इलेक्शन तो हो गया. इंडिया इलेक्शन में जो होना था हो गया. यूएस इलेक्शन में सो दिस गाय वाज क्रूजिंग ट्रम्प एंड फाइनली Kamala is in race.
Yeah.
Now that affects your bond market, your equity markets, everything, your outlook, something like that.
So Kamala ka hamla, this is what is called, okay, for those who watch or listen to radio. So Kamala ka hamla is even more dangerous than World Trade Center being attacked. And why I tell you it's important, because the mindset up to a point in time between when Biden and Trump, it was a slam dunk, merely that market ne conclude kar liya tha, it's going to be Trump. But now it's going to be a tough kind of a terrain. We don't know what the outcome is going to be. But the markets or the economy have seen Trumponomics. So they've seen how Trump has performed. They have not really seen how effective Kamala can be in her, in her tenure. And therefore that remains to be a question mark. Again, I'm not saying it's good or bad, but there's always going to be an uncertainty element. In that uncertainty element, another critical thing which is happening is that the probability of recession in the US has increased from under 10-11% to about 30%. Not a good enough reason for recession and not a good enough reason to cut rates, but you cannot completely ignore. So I think some of these geopolitical dynamics are extremely fluid at the current juncture, and therefore if you see gold is rising, dollar is actually crappy, I won't say collapsing, but easing out a little bit. Asian currencies, look at the Taiwanese dollar, the Korean won, all of these are rising, they are appreciating. Rupee is hilta dulta, kind of a thing. Rupee is not depreciating, rupee is not appreciating. So I think these dynamics are going to be very, very important till November. So I think markets are going to be on tenterhooks. From eventually, if you ask me, who comes into power does not really matter. But that near-term butterflies in the stomach, to our mind, I think is going to exist. So between now and November, I think there will be a lot of adrenaline rush from a market standpoint. It will swing largely sideways because valuations are not cheap, whether it's in India or in the US, and therefore one has to tread cautiously.
And other problem like yen carry trade is solved or temporary solved or like?
See, yen carry trade is not solved completely. Imagine, and again in diet parlance, if I give you, you are in a weight gain mode. मतलब आप चढ़ाते गए steroids बढ़ाते गए चर्बी जैसे बोलते हैं, and now you are in the liposuction stage. So yen carry trade unwinding is very similar to a liposuction. अब liposuction में क्या होगा? You have to be conscious that ठीक है, after a particular stage you don't become excessively malnourished, and that malnourishment leads to drying out of global liquidity. So far it is not intimidating, but one cannot completely ignore, because bulk of the money, and yen carry trade, long story short, means you are borrowing in a country where the interest rate is absolutely low, so you get access to cheap money, and bulk of that money, mind you, has flown into India. So Japanese yen carry trade investors have pumped in quite a bit of money to India. Therefore, pura nakara nahi, you can't be completely in the oblivious or the ignorance mode, but am I going to get paranoid and lose my sleep over it? Well, the answer is no. So I think there has to be a mid path that needs to be adopted at the current juncture. And yeah, don't be like that Chaukidar in Three Idiots who says all is well with, and for those who, you all all seen Three Idiots, I'm assuming, right? The Chaukidar andha tha, right? फिर भी बोलता था all is well. So don't be like the Chaukidar of Three Idiots who says all is well. आंखें खुली रखना and keep alert. I think in this market, alertness is important.
Yeah, and this real estate indexation has come back, so all is well there, or still you wanted full reversal?
No, real estate is Rajnikant of markets, yeah. Rajnikant to can beat this entire room hands down without any gadgets. Real estate
but
is. But
you were worried, na? On the budget day, to pura indexation gaya.
Because Rajnikant ko retire kar diya, so all the people in Tamil Nadu revolted, and that is how you got the indexation back, and that's how Rajni is back.
Yes, good. So about the SEBI comes every day with some guidelines, sometimes for influencers, sometimes now peer-to-peer lending, and so what? Any view on that? What exactly is happening is now they want to curb it, and earlier they said now it has become a big 10,000 crore ka corpus. Now they say nahi, ye nahi kar sakte, wo nahi kar sakte. So these are like regulated but not regulated. But yeah, now SEBI has become very active, and every other day there are some circular on influencer, RIA, and all that.
Yeah. So SEBI is like Shahenshah. You've seen Shahenshah movie, guys, girls. रिश्ते में तो हम तुम्हारे,
डैश लगते हैं,
बाप लगते हैं,
बाप लगते हैं
या माँ लगती हूँ, whatever.
जो भी है।
Now our chairperson is a lady, but नाम है शहनशाह.
नाम है
So I think you cannot change your mother and father. Yeah, you're given with your. So the regulator's role is that of Bhishma Pitama. And I always tell this to people that conscience keeping is very important. And whether you are going with your arms astra shastra or whether you are on a bed of thorns, which is, Bhishma Pitama had Ichha Mrityu Vardhan.
Correct.
Please do see Mahabharata if you've not seen. It's very important to relate to some of the things that I'm saying. This is mythology also, which is very important for you. So when you have a regulator like that, you can be rest assured that things are going well in the economy and things are going well on a micro basis. See, macro basis we all see. So the micro job is also that of the regulator, and I think they are doing a commendable job. They are always in the eye of the storm, like how Bhishma Pitama was in the bed of thorns. But unfortunately or fortunately, that is the right thing from an industry standpoint to be implemented. I call it Sam, Dam, Dand, Ved. If you do not do, in colloquial parlance, tolding. I told you to do, I told you. अगर tolding से नहीं काम चले तो scootering करना चाहिए. And that is what the regulator's job is. Scootering का मतलब होता है you kickstart and do things on your own. So if you do not self-regulate, you have to bring in regulation, whether it is in the investment world, whether it is in the lending world.
Correct.
See, P2P lending is not bad, but if you go beyond, जैसे if you go चद्दर के beyond अगर पैर फैला
intent
देते हो,
was good, but it was
absolutely, absolutely. So I think how do you do that checking, and I think therefore that role of the conscience keeping is something which the regulator has to do, and the reason why we as financial professionals are able to breathe easy and I would say stay afloat with conscience clear is because we have regulators who keep us on our toes. Whether it is the SEBI for the capital markets or the RBI for the banking sector, and you know that.
Fresh award,
Absolutely.
A plus.
Correct.
So then,
Or IRDA for the insurance. I
For
sit
the
on the
insurance.
pension. I sit on the pension fund board too for Kotak, or the PFRDA might be a small regulator, but imagine they keep us on our toes. And in the world of risk and compliance, complacency is a death knell. Remember, I think for all of you who are aspiring, into getting into the financial world, you may choose to take whichever profession. It doesn't matter. Some of you may go into compliance. Some of you may do legal after doing company secretary, etc. Keep it in mind that keeping your conscience above board is absolutely important, because there is no shortcut to success. And if you take a shortcut to success once, it may help you. Twice, it may help you. 3, 4, 5, 6 times, it may not help you, because after that, you're so used to taking that shortcut, you think you are like that cat which is shut your eyes and having the milk and assuming that the world is not seeing you, but the world is watching you. So I think, to my mind, it's a non-negotiable, and I can tell this with high degree of confidence that India is one of the countries where other countries are taking as case studies, as use cases to implement in their countries, whether it is whether it's a valuation, whether it's on insider trading, and all of those things. We give some and we take some. I think it takes two to tango. Very important.
even the India's entry. So you are CIO, debt funds and all, and now India's entry into bond index and all that.
Yeah.
The last time Nilesh Bhai visited us 2 years back, and that time I asked him. We were struggling to get. We wish to get, but he said we will get it on our own terms.
Yeah.
Now finally we are in.
Yeah.
So what has changed after that? The liquidity has gone up, or still there is something more to be done?
So you know what? India has been growing. We are obviously raring to be a $5.5 trillion economy in the next 2 to 3 years. But the bond market, which is so developed, and the world, including India, needs debt also as a very potent source of financing. It never got the global recognition in terms of ownership. In equity, how it is, you come when you want, you go whenever you want. But in debt, it was always, I would call it the quota system, which means you can come, but come only with a particular threshold. So there was a Lakshman Rekha. I will put this Lakshman Rekha and you cannot come beyond that, because there was a concern that if too much of money comes into debt, it will be used to, it will destabilize the bond markets. The size has proliferated. We've seen massive expansion of size. Okay, you see on a given day, at least $20 to $30 billion worth of bonds get traded every day. I'm talking about government bonds. What more liquid? You bat an eyelid, you barely bat an eyelid, and you can execute like 100 crores or $100 million within the bat of an eyelid. So So with that kind of a thing, it was only fair that, you know, if countries like Indonesia, Thailand had inclusion in the index, why not India? So I think that was the trigger point, and it is always the dog wagging the tail or the tail wagging the dog.
Correct.
Anda aaya pehle ki hen aaya pehle is a classic debate. Nobody can win. Okay, you have your perspective, I have mine. So I think it was therefore time to give some due respect to the fact that you cannot, in the top 5 economies in the world, India was not part of the index. So I think that trigger kind of, you know, kept having multiple trigger points in terms of discussion. And then there was something known as FAR, Fully Accessible Route Securities, which got introduced. That was the precursor, where you said that as a foreign investor, if you come into India, into FAR, Fully Accessible Route Securities, you can come how much ever you want. जितना चाहिए आप लेते आओ. It is like कुबेर का पात्र. So हम देते जाएंगे, and we are like कामधेनु. So I think we said that we will keep giving, that's not a problem, and that is what the government has lived true to its word. And I must tell you that it is the best thing that happened to India's perception. As we speak, almost $1 billion at least of monthly liquidity. As we speak, we have already touched almost $2.5 billion, but roughly around $1 billion to $1.5 billion per week is actually coming into the country, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And that clearly allows you to reduce your gap, which is a fiscal deficit. So I think a very, very important Brahmastra that we have actually invoked, which allows durability of money. And these are all benchmark people. So if you say it is fair where the money it is going to exit, it will exit only if India gets out of the index. Till then it's not going to go.
Okay, so more or less I am done. So maybe one more question. Views on sustainability, CSR as a company, and personal level if you are passionate about a cause.
So CSR we do definitely. We like incubating you know, startups because I think India, and you must be reading this in the news very often, that India is becoming the land of unicorns. The next new idea in terms of whether it is in pharma, whether it's in clinical research, whether it's trials, whether it's oncology, we are making strides. Of course, we are a small pygmy when you compare to the giant in the US, but clearly that's one space which we are very, very passionate about as a firm. My personal passion is twofold. One is to see financial inclusion happen, gender agnostic, and therefore I bring in the woman angle in it. I want to see as many more women who get initiated into the world of finance. In one of my discussions with the industry body, I was invited as part of CII. I said I want to see financial literacy curriculum introduced in grade 5, not in grade 8. So if you start, when you can learn cycling, you know, when you are age 5, not in grade 5, when you start swimming when you are in your mother's womb, literally, why can't you start, you know, financial literacy? So that is something which I am very, very passionate about, and I love being with students. I think that makes me, I know my experience set and your age kind of matches, but I keep saying I am forever 21, and that's the reason I'm among all of you all. So that's my passion.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so before I open for the Q&A, but थोड़ा पिक्चर अभी बाकी है, हाँ, एक छोटा रैपिड फायर करते हैं.
हमको तो लगा दी एंड हो गया.
नहीं, अभी बाकी है.
Sequel, now he is releasing a sequel.
Okay, so it's rapid fire now. Mountain or beach?
Beach.
Beach. So what is your next bucket list?
Goa.
Goa.
Goa. The maximum I've gone to Goa is
again Goa.
I love Goa. The maximum. What would be the maximum any of you would have gone to Goa? Anybody quickly? 5 times, 7 times. I've been to Goa 7 times. I can go to Goa in my sleep. कभी मुझे बोलो गोवा चलो मैं चली जाऊंगी. And North Goa, by the way, though North Goa has now become infested by North Indians.
I thought it was South Goa. Mostly people, that's cleaner.
North Goa is very boring.
Boring है थोड़ा. You're right.
North Goa is where all the clubbing
Action.
and pubbing. So imagine I am a teetotaler, teetotaler high on life. I can party till 3 in the morning with even a 15-year-old without daru.
Without daru.
Yeah.
Chalo, that's even better. ताली मारो भाई. A movie that never fails to uplift your spirit.
Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. I love that movie. I just love it.
And if there is a movie on your career, what should be the name?
Lakshmi. You could tweak the spelling by calling it LAK, LAX, whatever you want, but Lakshmi has to
Lakshmi
be
is Lakshmi.
OG. Yeah, everything else is modified.
Your go-to comfort food after a long day at work?
No, there are 4 P's which define me. You'll all know the 4 P's in marketing, but my 4 P's are pav bhaji, pani puri, pasta, pizza. These are the 4 P's. Any time of the day, you serve me pizza for breakfast and I will love you for it. You can serve me pani puri.
They are all loving it. हम लोग समझाते हैं पिज्जा मत खाओ.
नहीं, मैं बाजरे का पिज्जा खाती हूँ ऐसे.
बाजरे का पूरा सुनना.
मैदा यार they can eat मैदा यार. अभी हमको मैदा के लिए I have to do another cardio of 8 kilometers, which is very difficult. But
nowadays everything is available now for us.
I love sourdough pizza. Try the sourdough pizza. They are too yum. So yeah. You can give me pani puri at midnight. I will. Yeah, absolutely.
Plain pani puri. Plain pani.
दारू नहीं पीती हूँ ना.
हाँ, teetotaler.
So no vodka for me.
Okay, great. Any investment that turned out to be a blockbuster hit for you?
My SIPs, oh my
SIP.
God, they are absolute. So I am a big SIP fan for my personal portfolio. Very, very boring investor. Fill it, shut it and forget it. But the power of compounding, as we all know, the 8th wonder of the world, has worked wonderfully. And then one student asked me, when should I start? I said, yesterday. And then she laughed. She gave me a very uncomfortable smile. I said, the next best day is today. So yeah, that's my view on SIPs. Start it as soon as possible. Don't bother. Start very small amount. Doesn't matter. Even if you don't earn, it just doesn't matter. Itna to pocket money mil jata hai yaar. Spend less on V days and B days and spend more on your S days. Very important.
Yeah. And all the mutual fund guys, and like last time Kalpain came, he said you are 23 years late. उसका थीम था you are 23 years late. मतलब पैदा होते ही शुरू करना है.
Yeah.
And he gives on every birthday to his kid.
Yeah.
So morning meeting or late night brainstorming session? Both.
Yeah. I can be an owl and I am an early worm too. I sleep for 6 hours a day. That's all I say. And so I tell even my colleagues and my team, they know me that I am available literally 24/7. But for those 6 hours which I need to sleep, and 6 hours are good enough to give me energy. And I am wheels on heels, so you'll always find me in sneakers. I don't know if that's there in your rapid fire, but somebody asked me sari or sneakers. I said sneakers.
हाँ ठीक है तो ये क्वेश्चन भी ऐड कर लिया मैंने मगर मैं खुश हुआ हाँ okay so do you prefer a structured strategy or more spontaneous approach मतलब
structure is good but I don't like to box everything in a prototype. Some kind of spontaneity is always useful.
With whom you would want to have a dinner date, living or dead, any character?
ऐसा कोई नहीं है यार.
कोई नहीं.
I like solitude also and I like to be in a gang. I typically do my girls trips. I like to be around. I'm pretty versatile. They say water takes the shape of the container. So you put me with this group and tell me to get marooned. I'll take a small section and get marooned and then get them talking also in finance.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Your favorite investment book?
So I don't have any particular investment book, but I love reading annual reports, and my favorite is Berkshire Hathaway. And I very, very strongly urge each of you to read Berkshire Hathaway letters. I mean, they are pearls and pearls of wisdom. Yeah, so many nuggets that you get to read and understand from that. And please read a lot of annual reports. I love reading annual reports. There is a story that each annual report tells you, whether it's from the pharma sector, whether it's from the auto sector or the financial services sector. There is a nice, very beautiful story that comes across. So please read as much as you can, because if you don't read, you rust your mind. Very important.
And your investment style, like classic, like your movies, classic or timeless or new or innovative? Any kind of investment?
I think as I said, form is temporary, class is permanent. Over years, the investment style for me, growth mindset remains, but the agility in investments have substantively notched up, because cycles have got crunched. There is a sector cycle which has got crunched, there's a stock cycle which has got even crunched. So agility is the name of the game, and I always believe, and this, as students of finance, you need to keep this in mind, there's a very thin line of differentiation between conviction and foolhardiness. When you decide to buy a stock or a sector, you're convinced. आप इतने conviction में बह जाते हो, जैसे मैं बोलती हूँ भावनाओं में बह जाना, you realize that this is the best thing that happened to you, then you are becoming foolhardy. That the sector, the cycle has changed, हवा का रुख बदल चुका, you're still in bed with that sector. So I think that agility in investment is very, very important. And yeah, growth mindset is a non-negotiable, because India is a growth economy. How much ever I love watching Ayushmann Khurrana movies, for me Amitabh Bachchan is actually evergreen.
Shahenshah.
Absolutely,
Great.
absolutely.
So let's take some audience questions. Raise your hand, that side. Take the mic, please.
Good evening, ma'am. This is Vaishnavi, having this major in finance as a specialization. So my question to you is that current market scenario that is going on, it is a very dynamic market scenario. So how do you assess the potential of new markets and new industries, and then also actually go up with your clients to invest in those, or go up with those portfolios and investment?
See, you need to identify a theme. I think identification of the theme, which is an overarching part of, so last year around the same time, or maybe even before June of last year, we identified pharma as a theme. Now, if you look at pharma at that point in time, it was an underdog. Nobody wanted to touch it. Everybody were, glued on to only BFSI, because obviously it has almost little under 40% weightage in the index. So everybody said that's the only place to be, and interest rates will come down and all of that. And 10, 11, 12 months into it, you've realized and you've seen that pharma has actually taken the pole position. BFSI has actually been in, completely thwarted. Compared to that, it's in the red. So I think identification of the theme is very, very important. Identifying a trend is also equally important. And after having identified these two, the call to action is in the execution. So there are two ways to execute it. So we are launching, for example, life sciences fund very shortly, which is going to invest in early stage life sciences fund, early stage life sciences ideas. Now the thought process for that is, we already have a listed equities which we are doing that, but the thought process is that how do you give investors, if you are thinking that this is going to be a multi-decadal theme, how do you get investors like you to participate in this multi-decadal theme at not so expensive valuations? You can do that only if you identify a company at the early stage rather than identifying it at a late stage. It is like saying that today the company is a 500 crore market cap, vis-a-vis saying, oh, now it has become 50,000 crore and now the whole world has identified it. So I think identification of the theme goes with a lot of brainstorming, some industry experience, some interactions, some global interactions, some observations. All of that go into ingredients. There's just no one ingredient. But the most important thing, which to your question will close the loop, is call to action. So give the view with conviction. And I will tell you, as a fund manager, if you tell and if you think that you will get 10 on 10 calls right, no chance, no ways, okay? Even if you get 70% of your calls right, you have to give a solid pat on your back with both the hands. I think that's very, very important. So I think backing your conviction so that when you go wrong 3 on 10 times, your 7 on 10 calls actually give you the support. We all go wrong. I to keep telling मेरे नाम में लक्ष्मी है, मैं भगवान नहीं हूँ. So it's very important to keep that. भगवान भी गलती करती है वैसे तो, we are the God men. So I think that's important to keep. So I think the call to action or the execution is very important. Otherwise the idea remains here, it is never implemented on paper. So I think apart from strategy, the devil lies in the execution, which is very important, and that's what we call walk the talk, isn't it?
Great.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. Like you have talked about SEBI being the Bhishma Pitama, but Bhishma Pitama has also one bad name for not stopping the Vatharan of Tripoli.
Yeah.
So with that context, SEBI hasn't researched about the Hindenburg report properly. That are the allegations again SEBI is facing with Hindenburg. So do you think that these regulations and Adani stock should be searched more thoroughly after the...
You know, human beings have this uncanny ability to ignore the 999 good things that a regulator does, but pin tuck on the one mistake or one not so mistake. I don't even know if it's a mistake, but the one obvious miss that someone does. So my limited submission is that regulators are also human beings, okay? They have to be lauded or applauded for the 999 of the 1,000 things that they have done for the betterment of the industry. And I think just because for one odd event which we don't even know, I don't know how much you have researched about Hindenburg, I'm pretty sure that you have not done your adequate research. So I urge you to go and do, not just carried away by the Twitter universities or the LinkedIn varsities and draw your conclusion, but there is a very, very solid background to every regulatory action. It is important to just not look at it from the superficial level. You know, there are 300 and 400 page documents. I defy anybody in this room to get up and say that I have read all the 300 pages. I am willing to trade my career with you. So that is where it is. So most of the Twitter pundits and the LinkedIn scholars just superficially read stuff and they put their verdict out, which is not the way as students of finance you all should take it. Go into the details. The devil lies in the details. Today everybody is macro, nobody wants to do micro. So keep that in mind. You have to be, you know, auditor का tick देखोगे ना तो हमेशा उल्टा tick होता है. Why they do that ulta tick? That to certify that I have read it like this and I have read it like this. That is very important for all of us. So imbibe, it's very boring, but it's important to get into the details. So I think the regulator in India, as I said, without any qualms, I can say, and we interact with the regulator, we've seen how they have developed and seen the betterment of the industry, and more importantly, handheld every investor at the time of need and taken very, very solid and candid feedback from the industry. So it is a three-way process, and the three-dimensional process or that thing has been done by the regulator wonderfully well. So I don't think any of us in this room, including me, are competent enough to really make such claims about the regulator without being fully aware of what they are doing. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Next.
Just one second.
You can ask.
Yeah.
Next is good. You take.
Hello ma'am, my name is Nandini. I never knew that a finance talk would be this humorous. So thank you for that firstly. And secondly, my question is that I have a stock, say India, current target price is 3-5 trillion around. My target is around 20 trillion in the coming 10 years or in the 15 years. And then again I have the advancement of technology wherein the cryptocurrency is taking place and the bitcoins and every other digital currency. What is your point of view? How will these particular currency will take place in the Indian market or in the coming 20 years?
No, my answer is very simple. You bet on the best stock. You don't need any other fund manager. That's about it. I think the only stock that you can go long in this point is a stock called India, and this is something which I have been saying that for a very long time. This stock can double in the next 5 years. It can quadruple in the next 10-15 years, and that's the leap of faith that you need to have. There will be some speed breakers along the way. There will be some I would say acknowledgements. There will be some I would say detractors, as they call, to every success story they will have some kind of villains, as I call it, in every real life. So this is the real life. So real life also will have a lot of villains, but you have to march along the way. And I think India is very, very poised to deliver the consistent path of 7% plus. We are at 8% right now, but I think we are very well geared by just looking at the top 50 companies by size, which is a Nifty 50 companies in terms of market cap. You can actually say, looking at the sectors which are likely to do well, all of these are likely to propel. So I think, yeah, as I said, you have bet on the best stock. So yeah, just be long, stay calm and stay patient, because there will be vibrations, there will be gyrations along the way, and there will be air pockets. So yeah, seat belt is absolutely essential.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for this intriguing session that we all had today. My question would be, as you have seen from the past year, the retail investors have been showing the power in the equity market especially. And there has been a so-called bubble in the small cap and mid cap market. Mm-hmm. What's your opinion on that, first of all, and what's the future of the equity market especially? What
do you define as a bubble?
When there is huge inflow of funds, even when the actual news and the actual market is supposed to be bearish.
Where is the news bearish? Show me one mid cap company where you've seen bearish news.
Ma'am, let's say if you even see IFCI right now, we can see the reports that it has posted lately.
Let's not get into stocks, okay? But I will tell you one very important preamble. 5 years back, also market looked expensive. Where was Nifty at that point in time? Okay, markets crapped off. COVID happened. March 2020, markets hit new lows, and people says it's end of the story. Where is it today? 5 years later, you may not be there, I might still be there, because I still love being students. You will not be students at that point in time. And at that point in time, people will say, oh, now markets are expensive, like the way you are saying. The important thing to identify is there commensurate earnings in a company which is able to sustain that P? It is a P and the E story, okay? So, there was a point in time when people, and I also, you know, used to keep jovially saying that mere Karan Arjun aayenge. Karan Arjun is earnings, okay, earnings or growth aayenge. But now earnings are also there and growth is also there. And there is something known as PEG, which the markets are tracking. In some pockets, you are absolutely right. The price has run way ahead of fundamentals. But there are over 4,000 stocks in the universe. BSE 500 comprises 500 stocks. First to 100 stock by market cap is a large cap. 101st to the 200 stock is actually in the mid cap space. So that clearly tells you that certain pockets do not really define the entire principle. Having said that, on a relative value basis, we always do this relative value comparison between the large caps and the mid caps. The premiums have compressed. Because the premiums have compressed on a relative basis, if you ask me today, my preference will be to buy large caps. But that doesn't in any way suggest, so be mindful of the words that you all are using as students of finance. We are nowhere in a bubble territory. There are some penny stocks, but penny stocks are not mid-cap stocks. They are the absolute micro-cap stocks with 50, 70, 80 crore kind of market cap with a turnover in the market equal to 200, 300 crores. I think they may be in a bubble territory, but they are anyways in the T2T category, which cannot move beyond 5% in a day. But by and large, if you see the mid-market group, you know, the mid-cap companies, they have significantly deleveraged. Deleveraged means they were very, very heavy on debt till 5 years back, and they have actually reduced the size of their balance sheet. And because they have repaired their balance sheet, they are looking fitter. And because they are looking fitter, there are many people that are chasing them on a rose day, on a chocolate day, and they are making them, you know, much, much more wide for, and that's exactly what is happening. And it's not just India, but the global investors are also chasing them. And some of these companies are doing a fantastic job in their respective fields. Look at the mid-market pharma space, look at the mid-market specialty chemical space, look at the mid-market NBFC space. So for every L&T, there is a Chota L&T. For every Reliance, there is a Chota Reliance. For every Infosys, there is a Chota Infosys. So I'm saying you have to, as students of finance or as practitioners of finance, identify which is going to be the next multi-bagger. And that will always happen starting small. So even among all this din, while we all talk about the index levels and all of that, it's important that stock picking will still have its relevance and it will continue to play its role. And in that, you have to find pockets of undervalued opportunities. Yeah.
Because one concern now is that more money is going into these funds and some of the mutual funds are closing that and sectoral.
It is happening. So there is, as I said, there is a lot of madness also happening. Yeah. So we have to cut through the din and we have to be very, very mindful. So today if I were to do a 100 rupee portfolio, 70 rupees I will put into large cap. Yeah. Because see, not participating in the market is not an option, you know, in my parlance, because any of you in this market can tell me tomorrow or 1 year down the line, how will the markets be? Very difficult. Will it be 10% down in the next 3 months and then rise 20%? I don't know. Because only liar or lucky people know. And I don't think we are either, right? So the next best thing we can do is do just systematic investments, stagger your investments in this market and just be invested. Yeah. See, date raho. I think being in the crease and not getting out is very, very important. For me, I know Sachin Tendulkar was my god of cricket. You might have Virat, Dhoni, Rohit Sharma. I don't know who your god is. But you know how many balls Sachin Tendulkar batted in his entire career of cricket as a batsman? He would have batted over 35,000 balls. How many balls he went for those 1s, 2s, 4s, 6s? Any guesses? Just 50%. Just 16,000 odd. But did Sachin Tendulkar know which 16,000 balls of those 33,000 balls is when he will go for it? No. But he had to be there, no? If he were not at the crease, he wouldn't have known. So just remember one thing, neither you nor me can predict the markets. If anybody is telling you he or she is lying, trust me, because I have not done that in 26 years and I'm confident I cannot do it for the next 26 years, for sure.
Yeah. Great, I think that's what even Sachin Tendulkar ka another thing was that the courage. He said, "Main khelega."
Correct.
Yeah. So he was
Lady Vidya Balan.
Correct.
Whatever.
Great. So maybe we take 1 or 2 questions more. अरे बहुत सारे हाथ खड़े हैं. चलो.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. Sir, sorry, ma'am. My question to you is, since many countries are batting on this topic around de-dollarization, so what is your opinion around it, and how do you see the future of rupee and Vostro accounts?
Have you been to the US?
No.
Have you seen YouTube, Nat Geo? Have you seen Niagara Falls?
No.
Niagara Falls नहीं देखा है?
On
इस सेशन के बाद YouTube में Niagara Falls का वीडियो देखो यार. Look at the force of Niagara Falls, okay?
Correct.
Intuitively, it's in the US. That is the force of the dollar. It is a reserve currency of the world. So you try to puncture it, poke it, it will lose some sheen, but Niagara will remain Niagara. So long story short, de-dollarization is being talked about. It is being spoken about. Petrodollars are being spoken about. I understand all these threats are real. Therefore, some of them are diversifying into gold from dollars. Because the US debt bazooka is only growing by the day, but not today. 10 years back also I used to share the same chart. Today also I am sharing the same chart, size has increased, the direction remains the same. But the US is the mother of all economies, and it is going to remain the mother or father, as you call it, of all economies, and therefore the one currency which willy-nilly we don't have choice, but we have to own is going to be the dollar. But there will be some dilution. It could be a basket, it could be petrodollars, it could be gold. I don't know if we go back to the Bretton Woods stage. I think it's too premature for us to think about it, because gold obviously ultimately is physical in nature. But some of these are already being spoken about. Petrodollar is the closest I can think, but that again is not going to happen today, tomorrow. But yeah, eventually it will happen, which is why globally central bankers have started buying gold. There has been an unprecedented gold rush. 5 years from today, gold will be double in value. It is seemingly very evident right now. I know you might be thinking it's so myopic, ये कैसे हो सकता है? But even at $2,500 an ounce on gold, can gold touch $4,500-5,000 over the next 5 years? The answer is possible, because central bankers want to de-risk. They're owning tons and tons. You know, ironically, if you see, US reserves largest holding is gold. Every other central banker's largest holding is US dollar and US treasuries. So yes, they will obviously look to diversify a little bit, but remember the force of the Niagara Falls. तुम जितनी भी bucket पानी लेके चले जाओ, it will still be buckets of water. So it will give some small impact, but it will not be able to nullify the impact totally.
So they have the printing machine. They will keep on printing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So will there be a currency that will challenge the hegemony of the dollar?
Why don't you create one? It will be very interesting. It will be a very useful case study for all of us. Yuan tried to do it. I don't think anybody has really succeeded. As I said, China is in doldrums. China is a $20 trillion economy, okay? But look at where it's trading. It's trading like a $3 trillion economy. That's how it's trading like. So it's very important that the currency should give you confidence. The currency should be convertible. The currency should be tradable freely. The currency should not have geopolitical constraints. Gold today for the closest, and maybe petrodollars are giving you that kind of comfort. No other currency is still giving you that kind of comfort. Maybe a basket of currencies could be the closest I can think of, but Delhi abhi thodi dur hai.
Hello. Hi Lakshmi ma'am, my name is Isha, and I think on behalf of everyone I can attest that this is one of the most fun conversations we've been a part of. So my question would be, how do we use storytelling as future managers as a way of persuasion or client engagement strategies?
How to what? Sorry?
How to use
storytelling. What you are doing?
How to use storytelling.
Storytelling to more. So that's a relevant question for you.
Yeah, who taught you how to breathe? Nobody, right? Who told you that when, you know, the first instinct when somebody comes lashing at you, you know, your eyelids shut, these are all voluntary or involuntary kind of actions which nobody really taught you, right? So I would say it is not by birth, firstly. If I knew that by birth I would be a storyteller, I really, you know, want to defy that logic and contest that. When you naturally start using more and more anecdotes as part of your conversation, what is TEDx speaking? TEDx is just about your own experiences crafted into a nice garland. That's what it is all about. So try to, but you have to be conscious when you're doing it. There are practitioners who in mind are practitioners, but in thought, only in thought. When it comes to conduct, they become absolute theoretical people. And when you are thinking, you know, as a practitioner, you have to conduct yourself also as a practitioner. That's how, as I said, that two-in-a-box approach is extremely important. And it's just all about consistency and practice. And mind you, it is also about your likings. So if you believe sports is your calling, you can wean around sports. I was never an athlete. You know, I used to do a 400 kilometer बोल रही हूँ, meter नहीं भागा जाता था मुझसे. 400 meter relay race, and at the 200 meter I used to tell my teacher that I need that glucose biscuit and Glucon-D. मैं उसके लिए भागती थी race because biscuit खाने के लिए. But you know, if sports is your calling, your relatability could be on sports. Anything which you link yourself to, okay? For somebody it could be history. You can take a lot of those examples. So try to build in as many examples as POC. Like how you have a POV when you post IG or Instagram stories, there has to be a proof of concept. And your proof of concept is actually your real life experiences. If you don't enjoy eating, if you give dal bhat shaak ka example in Gujarat, people will realize that you are a fake dal bhat guju person. But I love dal bati. So the passion with which I talk about dal bati is equal with the passion I talk about dosa bhaji. I love dosa bhaji, the masala dosa and the bhaji. I love it. So I'm saying it is all about your passion. And automatically when you start weaving that into your conversation, that makes it a very, very interesting conversation. And trust me, it doesn't need to be scripted. Arun was very kind enough to send me questions, but I think a very, very honest confession in this audience.
We have not used that.
I had no clue what he sent me because I didn't open it. I genuinely didn't open it, not because I didn't want to, but till here I was on a Zoom call and I really could. I thought, abhi karungi, and then I said, abhi personal life story पूछ रहा है ना, तो personal life तो I'm living it, so I can talk to you about it. So never script your dialogues. I never use PowerPoint because they have no power and they don't really make a point. So I don't believe in using any of that.
So I think we should end it here now because ये तो चलता रहेगा. 1 घंटे का 1.5 घंटे का हो गया है, तो वो एक डायलॉग नहीं है क्या, बाबू मोशाय जिंदगी बड़ी होनी चाहिए, लंबी नहीं. So we have to stop it here now.
Absolutely, absolutely. और you have seen Lal Singh Chadha no movie? मैं दौड़ता गया, मुझे भी दौड़ना है, इसलिए जूते में भी आई हूँ, मुझे अगली जगह भी जाना है.
अरे वो अभी आपने हमको दे दिया टाइम अभी.
सही बात है.
Yes.
But yes, perfect. Thank you so much, and for being a wonderful. See, I did the easy job, by the way. बातें करना सबसे आसान होता है. You guys did the most difficult job, which is that of listening. So please clap for them.
Yeah. I think they enjoyed.
Now, on behalf of KJ Somaiya Institute of Management, I would like to invite Professor Raghu Kumari to express our gratitude. Also, I would request Aarti to come forward with the mug, which we would like you, ma'am, to sign as a memento for us.
First of all, it's my privilege to have Mrs.
You can take the mic.
First of all, I'm privileged to hear Mrs. Lakshmi second time, because earlier when she came as a fund manager, I was the very, very keen listener here, and this is my second visit. And by the way, I read her articles, and I have grown up in my career as a finance prof by reading her debt mutual fund opinions on many times. Okay. So now let me do one of the most important thing from all of us from Careers and Conversations. Okay. So here it goes to Lakshmi Iyer. In the world of finance, she shines so bright. Lakshmi Iyer, a beacon with all her might. From Kotak's halls to Forbes' glowing pages, she leads with wisdom across the ages. Like Zindagi Na Milegi Dubara, she takes each chance, balancing numbers with a strategic dance. She is the queen of her field, ruling the grace. In the world of assets, she sets the pace. She navigates the markets, a master of trends, guiding investments through twists and bends. From fixed income to equities, her vision is clear. With each decision, she pioneers. A foodie at heart, she savors each bite, from street side chart to dishes so right. With a love for films, from classics to new, in her journey, she is always breaking through. Her research roots in bonds, now a legacy grown. At Kotak, her influence deeply sown. Exploring the globe with wanderlust flame, in Bollywood story, she would have her own name. Lakshmi Iyer, a leader so grand, in the world of finance, she makes her stand. Her awards and accolades, a testament true, a beacon of strength for all to pursue.
बात है. Thank you so much.
Come here.
Bollywood terms, in true Bollywood terms, I will say rula diya.
I think it became so sentient.
Thank you so much. But my job is at thread. Somebody is writing limericks like me, which is so good. Thank you so much. This is so fabulous.
It's our Lakshmi Kataksham today.
Excellent, excellent. So you've seen Stree movie, ना? Stree movie में पहले में the village गाँव वाले लिखते थे ओ स्त्री कल आना, correct? And now in Stree Part 2, which is such a horrible movie, I'm sure, I don't know if you said उसमें the dialogue has changed. ओ स्त्री हमारी रक्षा करना. See, that is the role of Stree in life. From running away from Stree, people want Stree. That is the power of the movement.
I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to Lakshmi ma'am for gracing us with her presence and enlightening us with such words of wisdom. I would like to thank Raman sir, who has always been supportive of all student activities in spite of his hectic schedule. Thank you, sir, for your presence. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to Arun sir for his invaluable contribution to the second lecture of the new season of our initiative, Careers and Conversations. Your insights have made this event truly remarkable, sir. I will also like to extend thanks to Arvind sir, Professor Raghu Kumari, Professor Kripa Rai, Meenal ma'am, and the technical team for ensuring the success of the event with their remarkable efforts. Furthermore, I want to acknowledge the continuous support of the PR and Branding Committee as well as the Alumni Committee. To everyone present here, students and faculty, I thank you all for joining us for this enlightening session, and it had such a great audience. We'll now stop the live stream. Thank you for your cooperation. I request all the guest lecture committee members to come up to the stage for a group picture.